Good morning, children. Sai Ram, and welcome back once again. So, children, in this video, we are going to discuss new chapter. We are going to discuss NCERT class 9th history chapter number 4th, that is pastoralist in the modern world. So, in this chapter, you will read about nomadic pastoralist. So, before moving ahead, let's first understand who are nomads. So, tell me, who are nomads? Basically, nomads are people. Nomads are people who do not live in one place but move from one area to another to earn their living. Right? So, pastoralists are the people who move from one place to another. So, they do not have a settled life. Right? So, if you talk about India, so in many parts of India, we can see nomadic pastoralists on the move with the herds of goats, sheep, camels, and cattle. So, children, have you ever wondered where they are coming from and where they are headed? Do you know how they live and earn? Or we can say what their past has been. Pastoralists really enter the pages of history textbooks. When you read about economy, so whether in your classes of history or economics, you learn about agriculture and industry, right? Even sometimes you also read about artisans, but really about pastoralists, as if their lives do not matter, as if they are figures from the past who have no place in modern society. So, children, in this chapter, you will see how pastoralism has been important in societies like India and Africa. You will also read about the way colonial impact their lives and how they have coped with the pressures of modern society. So, in this chapter, or we can say the chapter will first focus on India and then Africa. So, first we will discuss the important pastoral community of India. Then, after that, we will discuss the important pastoral communities of Africa. So, move on to the next topic, pastoral nomads, important pastoral nomads of India and their movements. So, here are the important pastoral communities of India, those who lived in mountain regions. So, first we have Gujar Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir. Next we have Kurdish shepherds of Himachal Pradesh. The next we have Gujars of Garhwal and Kumaon region. Then Bhotias, Sherpas, etc. and etc. So all these pastoral communities, they all lived in mountains and their movement change according to the season. So let's first read about Gujar Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir. So first, Gujar Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir. If we talk about even today, the Gujar Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir are great herders of goat and sheep till date. And many of them, Gujar Bakarwals, many of them they just migrated to this region in the 19th century in search of pastures. Now, pastures means a field covered by grasses for animal grazing. Okay, so in the 19th century, they just migrated to this region in search of pastures for their animals. Now, slowly and gradually over the decades, they established themselves in the area and moved annually between their summer and winter grazing grounds. Okay, winter and summer. So basically first they established themselves in the area and they start moved annually between their summer and winter grazing grounds. So during the winter time, when the high mountains, right, the high mountains of Jammu and Kashmir, they were covered with snow, so they lived with their herds in the low hills of Shivalik. Who? Gujjar Bakarwals. Clear? During winter time, when the high mountains were covered with snow, so they lived with their herds in the low hills of Shivalik. The dry scrub forest here provided pastures for their herds. By the end of April, by the end of April, they began their northern march for their summer grazing grounds. Okay. By the end of April, they begin their northern march for their summer grazing grounds. So basically there were several households. They just came together for this journey and they forming kafila. Actually, they make the journey as a group of several households called kafila. They crossed the Pir Panjal passes and they entered the valley of Kashmir. Now, with the onset of summer, the snow melted, the mountain sides were lush green. The variety of grasses that sprouted provided rich, nutritious food for the animal herds. And then, by the end of September, the Bakarwals were on the move again, and this time on their downward journey. So, back to their winter base. When the high mountains were covered with snow, the herds were grazed in the low hills. So, is it clear the annual movement of Gujjar Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir? So, basically, their movement is depend on season. Okay, during winter time, when the high mountains were covered with snow, basically at that time there were lack of pastures at the high altitude, so they just moved to the low hills of Shivalik. But by the end of April, they begin their northern march for their summer grazing grounds. But during summer time, with the onset of summer, the snow melted, the mountain sides became lush green. So by the end of September, the Bakarwal started their backward journey. Is it clear? The annual movement of Gujjar Bakarwals. Okay, now next we have Gardi Shepherd of Himachal Pradesh. So in different area of the mountains, the Gardi Shepherd of Himachal Pradesh had a similar cycle of seasonal movement, right? So basically during winter time, they also lived in low hills of Shivalik, and during the summer time, they just went back their place. So Gardi Shepherd too spent their winter in the low hills of Shivalik range. They grazing their flocks in a scrub forest. By April, they moved north and they spent the summer in Lahul and Spiti. Okay, so where they spent summer? In Lahul and Spiti. But when the snow melted and the high passes were clear, so many of the Gardi shepherds, they just moved on to the higher mountain meadows. And by the September, okay, by September, they begin their return movement. On the way, when they just back to their place, they stopped once again in the villages of Lahul and Spiti. They reaping their summer harvest and sowing their winter crops. Then they descended with their flock to their winter grazing ground on the Shivalik hills. And next April, once again, they begin their march with their goats and sheep to the summer meadows. So, is it clear? Okay, so Further to the east, that means in Garhwal and Kumaon region, the Gujar cattle herders came down to the dry forest of Bhabar. Bhabar means a dry forested area. Dry forested area below the foothills of Garhwal and Kumaon region. Okay, so uh, basically Gujar, they were the cattle herders. They just came down to the dry forest of the Bhabar in the winter and went up to the high meadows. Bugyal. Bugyal means vast meadows in the high mountain in summer. So many of them, they were originally from Jammu and came to the UP hills in the 19th century in search of good pastures. Basically, this pattern of cyclical movement between summer and winter pastures were typical of many pastoral communities of Himalayas, including Bhotias, Sherpas, and Kinori. All of them had to adjust to seasonal changes and make effective use of available pastures in different places. When the pastures was exhausted or unusable in one place, so they moved their herds and flocked to new areas. This continuous movement also allowed the pastures to recover its prevented their overuse. So is it clear about the pastoral communities, those who lived in mountain region and their movement according to the season? Okay, now next on the plateaus, plain and desert. Children, not all pastoralists operated in the mountains. They were also to be found in the plateaus, plains, and the deserts of India. So here are the list of the pastoral communities, those who found in the plateau, plains, and the desert region of India. First, we have Dhangas of Maharashtra. Next, Golas, Kurumas, and Kurubas of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Next, we have Banjaras. Next, we have Raikas of Rajasthan. So, first, we are going to discuss about Dhangas of Maharashtra and their movement. So, Dhangas of Maharashtra. Dhangas were an important pastoral community of Maharashtra. Okay, they belongs from the Maharashtra. In the early 20th century, their population in this region was estimated to be it's around 4,67,000. It's 4,67,000. Most of them, they were shepherds and some were blanket weavers and still other were buffalo herders. Actually, the Dhangas, they were shepherds, stayed in the central plateau of Maharashtra. Okay, Dhangar shepherds, they stayed in the central plateau of Maharashtra during the monsoon. Okay, during the monsoon time, where they stayed in the central plateau of Maharashtra. This was a semi arid region with low rainfall and poor soil. It was covered with thorny scrub, nothing but dry crops like bajra could be sown here, and in the monsoon, this tract became a vast grazing ground for the Dhangas flock. By October, the Dhangas harvested their bajra and they started on their move west side. Okay, in the monsoon time, become a vast grazing ground for the Dhangars flocks. So by the October, the Dhangars harvested their bajra and started on their move west. Now, after a march of about a month, these Dhangars they reached Konkan coast. This was a flourishing agricultural tract with high rainfall and rich soil. So here the shepherds were welcomed by the Konkani peasants. Okay. Here the Dhanga shepherds were welcomed by the Konkani peasants. And after the Kharif harvest, Kharif means the autumn crop usually harvested between September and October. Okay. So after the Kharif harvest was cut at this time, the field had to be fertilized and made ready for the Rabi harvest. Now Rabi crops means the spring crops usually harvested after March. Okay. So basically Dhangars flogged manured the field and fed on the stubble. Now the Konkani peasants also gave supplies of rice to them, which the shepherds took back to the plateau where grain was scarce. With the onset of monsoon, the Dhangars left the Konkan coast and the coastal areas with their flocks, and they returned to their settlements on the dry plateau, where basically they just moved back to their place, the central plateaus of Maharashtra. Okay, the sheep could not tolerate the wet monsoon conditions. Okay, now in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, again the dry central plateau was covered with stone and grass and inhabited by cattle, goat, and sheep herders. So the first Golas they herded cattle, and next we have Kurumas and Kurubas. So Kurumas and Kurubas reared sheep and goats, and they also sold women blankets. They lived mainly near the woods, cultivated small patches of land, engaged in a variety of petty trades, and took care of their herds. Unlike the mountain pastoralist, it was not the cold and the snow that defined the seasonal rhythm of their movement. Rather, it was the alternation of the monsoon and the dry season. In the dry season, they moved to the coastal tracts and left when the rain came. Only buffaloes liked the swampy, wet conditions of the coastal areas during the monsoon month, and other herds had to be shifted to the dry plateau at this time. Next we have Banjaras. So Banjaras were yet another well-known group of graziers. So basically they were mainly found in the villages of Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra in search of good pasture land for their cattle. They moved over long distances, selling pluff cattle and other goods to villagers in exchange for grain and fodder. Now, if you talk about in the deserts of Rajasthan, so in the deserts of Rajasthan, Raikas were lived. The rainfall in the region was meager and uncertain. So, on cultivated land, harvest fluctuated every year. Over vast stretches, no crop could be grown. So, the Raikas combined cultivation with the pastoralism. And during the monsoon, the Raikas of Barmar Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, Bikaner, they stayed in their home villages where pastures were available. But by October, when these grazing grounds were dry and exhausted, so they just moved out in search of other pasture and water, and they returned again during the next monsoon. Now, one more group of Raikas known as Maru. Okay, one group of Raikas known as the Maru, desert Raikas, they herded camels, and other group reared sheep and goat. So, is it clear about the important pastoral communities of India, those who lived in mountain and also lived in plateaus, plains and desert region and their movement? Now, so we see that the life of these pastoral groups was sustained by a careful consideration of a host of factors. Okay, so here are the factors to be considered by pastoralist nomads. They had to judge how long the herds could stay in one area and now where they could find water and pasture. They needed to calculate the timing of their movements and ensure that they could move through different territories. They had to set up a relationship with farmers like dhangars on the way so that the herds could graze in harvested fields and manure the soil. So they combined a range of different activities, cultivation, trade, and herding to make their living. So children, that's it for this part. In next video, we will discuss how did the life of pastoralist change under the colonial rule. So thank you, have a nice day and take care.